Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing another rec review for one of my Patreon members, J10 the 7th. He's currently around 1430 elo and playing against another guy around 1430 as well. And the matchup is going to be Saracens versus Franks. As always with these rec reviews, we're going to 2x speed the early game, at least the Dark Age, just because I can still see what's going wrong at 2x speed and we can save us a little bit of time. Since this rec review, he actually managed to get to 1500, so the progress has been excellent. I think this is the third player on my Patreon Discord that reaches 1500 within like a month. Ridiculous progress, super proud of them, and yeah, good job on that, J10 the 7th. But anyways, for this rec review, he sent it to me about a week ago, maybe 10 days ago. So we're going to take a look and see what went wrong, what could have been better, and also talk about what he did right, because when I do these rec reviews, I want to also see what he did right so you can continue doing that and even build on that. And I'm sure this is going to be useful to a lot of you guys watching as well. This is why I like to do these rec reviews on YouTube. So not just the person I'm reviewing can benefit, but also the people watching on YouTube, especially the guys around 1400 or the guys that aspire to be 1400. I feel like 1400 is the elo range where you start to do, pretty good, Dark Ages in early games, and you start to be a pretty solid player. As you can see here, we spot now just the first mistake here. Everything else has been perfect. Scouting is solid, learning gear is good. The first mistake is making a house a little too close to the berries, but it's a very small mistake. And you know what? If he makes his mill on this side, it's fine. If he makes it here, then it's a bit too tight. But if he makes it here, it's fine. Either way, I think 1 or 2 tiles forward would be better to set up the walls. Also in the Dark Age, it's really important when he's playing. He needs to start thinking about the walls he's going to set up. And his map is really not the best. So like if you can see, gold is off to the side. Back stone is nice, back wood is nice, secondary gold at the back is nice, but then again, front is wide open. It's super open. He does his mill at the back, so that's good. So the house is completely fine after all. Yeah, the front is very open, and yeah, like the berries are going to be hard to defend. So that's why I think the first 2 houses should be here to defend those berries and help us protect them a bit more. We'll continue on with Dark Age here a little bit, as you're just going to learn more deer. It's also a good time to think about the matchup. It's Saracens versus Franks. In this matchup, for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I will open archers and 2 spearmen to defend against Frank scouts. And then I'm going to switch to camels in Cast Lich and play the crossbow camel composition. For me, it's an absolute no-brainer. The reason why you have to do this strat against strong cavalry civs if you're Saracens is because it's the safest route to camels. If you go scouts into camels, Franks have a better scout rush. And they you risk falling into like Franks going scouts on a lot of spears forward and then going knights and pikes. And knights and pikes are really hard to deal with as a camel civ. It forces you to switch to expo like later on, which is a bit awkward. So I would open archers, but let's see what J10 the 7th has in mind. So we're up to Feudal Age now, we can slow it down. One thing I don't like is that you didn't send more vills to wood. Oh no, you did, you have 7. They're like all stuck on 1 tile. It looks like 5 but 7 vills. Okay, 7 vills is fine. 1 lumber camp, probably because you don't have the best map. I'm gonna go to barracks at the back. Okay. Okay, so far so good, honestly. So far so good. Idle time is okay. 7 seconds is not the end of the world. And so far, like, it looks like you have a similar Dark Age to your opponent as well. So now you hit Feudal Age slightly faster. Went for a 19 pop. And you're gonna go for what looks to be a scout rush. Interesting. Ooh, you skip loom. Let's go. Let's go, brother. Skipping loom is the play. It goes unpunished every single time, man. I'm telling you. Skipping loom is the play. Don't skip loom if you're just learning beginner, but if you're, getting a little higher up, skipping loom is the play. If you're a 2k2 player, you gotta skip loom. Not every game. You can't skip loom every game. But if you're not scared of a drush and you think you can get away with it, then it's usually a good idea. I made a whole video about why loom is the worst upgrade in the game and how it slows you down if you pick it up. You guys can check that out on YouTube if you want more information about loom. Again, the smallest topics I can talk 10 minutes, 30 minutes about, no problem. So we are going to go scouts. Now, let's take a look at how you scout your opponent. This is all very good. Honestly, your early game is super solid. Like, I'm having trouble finding mistakes. You're also walling towards the TC, which I think is a good plan, since your map is really not the best. I should wall here. Again, 2 of those walling at the same time is better. This is unnecessary. Okay, this is the first mistake. This is worth talking about. This is absolutely unnecessary. You're up faster than your opponent, and you're almost fully walled on this side. Instead of walling up your berries, what you should do is wall up to the corner. Guys, fully walling your map is infinitely better than walling in your resources. It's infinitely better. You only wall in your resources versus like men-at-arms or drush, or if you have a terrible map and you can't full wall. In this case, you can full wall from the stable to the edge of the map. And like you scouted the wood line, so you know, obviously it's not to the edge, but you know it's going to help you out. So stable to the edge of the map and then close that off. And then this whole side is taken care of. Now, if you wall like this, he can sneak around here. He's going to hit your gold. He can go all the way here around and hit your wood. He can hit your farms. He can even hit your berries if they, if this is, later on the berries are taken. So this is terrible. Full wall is way better. Like 99% of the time we full wall. Especially in this situation, right? And I wonder if that's going to hurt you. And if you're ever scared, like you're leaving a villa here, leave one spear near it and just wall. If 3 scouts come, the one spear will defend. It'll kill one of the scouts maybe, and then the villa can run away in the meantime. Okay, so you decided to go scouts into Franks. Again, not the best idea, but I don't expect you guys at 1400 to come up with the best opening. As long as you come up with an opening that you like, let's just stick to it. It's no problem. So we go scouts. It's not like we cannot win. It's perfectly winnable. And we're going to go for some harass. And really good micro there. It's perfect micro with the scouts. Controlling both groups. And back home, we're seeding farms, as we should. Got housed a bit. You know why you got housed? Because you didn't wall with houses and palisades, like I tell you guys. You just stopped walling. If you continue walling with houses and palisades, you'd, number one, be walled by now. And number two, you won't get housed. And this spear is sitting here doing nothing. You should have been here. It's a really big mistake, actually. Okay, but we're going to run into a very interesting point in the game. He's attacking you and you're attacking him. This is really hard. Now you got to play sharp. What you need to do is this spear has to be in a proper location, either on the wood. Like if you're not going to wall, he needs to be here. Okay, and there you go. You have the tendency to just wall in your resources instead of fully walling. And this will keep you safe initially, but will for sure hurt you in Castle Age, I promise. This is a lot of wasted res, by the way. And you're going to have to keep deleting it and rebuilding it. Which is why I consider it a wasted res. Whereas a full wall is not really wasted because it lasts you a lot longer. Nice. Good job. You didn't commit there. That was the right choice. He kills the spear at home. At this point, you have 2 choices. You see 4 spearmen. You could continue attacking, but I think it's unlikely you're going to get damaged. So I would go back with the scouts. It's something not a lot of people do. When you force your opponent into 5 spearmen, just go back. Oh, if you go back, you're a genius. Damn it. Yeah, go back and deal with his scouts at home. And this way, like, you only made 1 spear, so you have an advantage. He made 4 extra spears. And the spears are not the most useful unit in Castle Age, for example. Unless he upgrades the pikes, which is somewhat of a threat, but not too much of an eminent threat. And yeah, you're going back. This is a great play. Again, market not on a wall. It seems like you're allergic to walling. Walling is OP, guys. It's like really good, actually. Like every game, if you can wall, you definitely should. It's just the best way to play. Take a look. Your opponent is walling here, and like his map is way worse than yours. So his walls are not necessarily that good, to be honest. But he's still going for them. Like if we don't wall, we have to play with a lot of army, especially in Castle Age, or else we get raided to death. But if we wall, we can play a bit more greedy, a bit more economy based, which is usually a good idea. All right, so now we're gonna go on to gold. You made a market. I think if you should probably sell stone. You made a market with Saracens. It should be worth it. Yeah, selling now. Good. I like that. Now I'm going to take a fight. And this is good. This is why I love the scouts on defense, by the way. This is very good. Scouts on defense help so much against enemy scout rush. And you already forced your opponent into like 7 spears now, which is ridiculous. And actually, because you saw so many spears, you have an option now to switch into crossbow or CA if you wanted to. But you're not in a position to do so because you have only 8 on wood. If you want to do that, you'd have to finish the berries, make a second lumber camp with those guys, and then make your 2 ranges at the back. Then you can switch to CA or crossbow. That's what you do if your opponent's on pikemen, usually. Either that, or you can play like monastery and just defend with monks. Monks are a really good counter to pikemen. Here we can probably fast forward a lot because there's honestly nothing going on. Your early game has been solid. Again, the only mistake that I saw was literally just the walling and how you set up your base. So far, it's the only mistake. Opening was not 100% the correct choice, in my opinion. But, as far as actual mistakes, it's just not walling. Now you're going to go second stable. I don't know if I like the second stable. We already saw so many spears from our opponent. It's very obvious our opponent wants to go pikeman here. And I get asked this question a lot. Like, a lot of people ask me, like, if I'm a camel civ, what do I do against people going pikeman knight? The whole idea is that if you're a camel civ, you don't need 2 stable camel versus 2 stable knights. Usually 1 stable camel, especially with Saracens that are so strong. You just stay on 1 stable. You add a monastery right away. The monks will beat the pikes and the knights, and the camels will chase away the knights, and the monks will heal the camels. So you can see that 2 stable is kind of unnecessary in most cases. Unless you're Berbers that can also make knights. But if you're Saracens, you only want camels. I think 1 stable is perfectly fine. And instead of the 2nd stable, you can add a TC right away. Or you can add a monastery. Can. Okay, so now you're gonna go monastery. You're up to castle a minute faster. So here's my problem. Okay, this is a really good learning advice actually. When you're up the castle faster, there's 2 things you can do. If you have the stronger army, you attack to try to break into his walls and get damage. That's how you can pull ahead. Or if you have the weaker army, let's say in this case you're going camels, it's not a raiding unit, your opponent's walled. So instead of making a lot of camels, when you're up fast at the castle with the weaker army or counter units, you want to get ahead by adding your own town center in, your own economy. So again, this is a bad play because we sold our stone and we're going to go double down into camels. Okay, we're actually making knights now, which is also not great. Knights versus Franks. Especially when they have a lot of spears and they have like Frank knights that scale way better than Saracen knights, which don't get cavalier. This is definitely the wrong choice. So what you should do when you have the weaker army or like the counter units is instead of doubling down to military with the faster castle time, we double down into the economy. Add a town center first, maybe go straight to 3 town center, and then look to defend with your counter units. There's a much better plan to pull ahead with Vils and use your best unit, which is the counter unit. Now you're going to go for a bad unit, the knight, and you're not adding in Vils, so we're not really going to pull ahead unless we find some miracle damage here. So I hope that makes sense. Now we're going to go for a monk defense, which is really good. Again, the biggest problem for your setup right now is how little Vils you have on wood. Like, you're basically all-inning 2 stables right now in a matchup where you have no business all-inning with stables. It's just not a thing. See what your opponent goes for. Your opponent's economy is also not great. Not a lot of wood, so he's going to have to probably all-in it as well. Resource collected. It's actually perfectly similar. Interesting. Now we start putting pressure. Again, all of this is not bad. Now, you are going for somewhat of an all-in, but though it's not bad. It's just that you're kind of playing into the Franks. Like, you're gonna play knight versus knight. And I think that, you know, it's not 100% the best call there. And by the way, even if you sold your stone with Saracens, like buying it back for a town center is really not bad. Like, it's actually completely fine. Only with Saracens. With other civs, you probably don't want to do that. If you sell your stone, you're gonna probably try to all-in. Okay. He's wasting his spears, which is actually amazing for us. That was really well played, bro. That was sick. That was sick. Almost saved the monk too. Nice try, but you killed all the spears and got a conversion, which is amazing. So from this position, I actually liked your position more somehow. Him wasting those spears means he cannot go pikeman easily anymore. So now you can switch to camels. To pure camel. Which you are doing, so perfect. Okay, so from this position, if you're set on all-inning, right? You just got a nice trade. You're going to go camels, which is going to be way stronger than Franks. If you're set on the all-in, send a siege workshop forward right now. It's a perfect time. It's like, you have 2 choices. Either you buy 100 stone and you make a town center and you get to developing your economy, or you go for a siege push. The reason is your economy is big enough now. You can sustain 2 stable and you can sustain a town center. So now any extra resources that you get is going to just stay floating in your stockpile. So you have to invest into something else. This is where you can make another choice. You either go 3rd stable, you either go siege workshop forward, or another town center. All these things invest into something more. They don't keep your resources in the stockpile. Again, floating resources is the worst thing we can do. We are absolutely not doing that. So let's see what you go for here. We have to watch out. See, you're already like floating a bit more. You know, you're not producing. Or actually, you could be just producing, but we want to keep an eye on not floating those resources here. If you do nothing, if you do nothing else, they're gonna start stockpiling a bit more. You'll see. And for now, we have map control. That's why forward siege works. You can break into his base. And if we're set on the all-in, it's the only way to all-in it, really. All right. Now we're still on the 2 stables. Getting husbandry. Not floating res so far, so this is good. This is actually, you know, looking pretty solid. Trying to break into opponent's base here, which is not bad. I mean, this is a really close game. Are we gonna... Oh, I would not take that fight. Oof. What? I don't think that was it at all. Oof. That was not it. That was a huge throw. Okay, so general thing. If you run into monks, you usually have to go back. Because now he's going to heal up his knights. Yeah, that was not even close to being a decent fight. If you see monks... If you see enemy monks and you don't have monks, chances are you want to go back. You have to really be sharp in your decision making there. If he has 1 monk and nothing else, okay, dive it. But if you see multiple monks and army, just go back right away. Go back and reassess the situation. If you still want to commit, then go back in. But if you don't want to commit, then you're better off going out. What you don't want is to get converted for free, because now he just heals up. You get converted, you lost a few units, and then you back up. You achieved nothing and gave him a lot of value. And now we're gonna... Yeah, see, now we're floating res. This is what I was afraid of. You bought 100 stones, you clearly want another town center. Again, in this case, like, use the market. Buy another 200 wood, buy another 100 stone, and make another town center. You're Saracens. Yeah, there we go. 200 wood. You can buy it. If you want to boom, you can commit to that. And again, from the start of the game, notice how you went for knights. We can fast forward a bit here. There's not much is happening, but notice how you went for knights. You didn't really achieve anything with the knights. If anything, it just forced you to take bad fights. Your opponent is on knight pike, like we knew from the start of the game. He's going to be on knight pike. So this is like perfect. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is high level stuff because 1400 is not weak anymore. This is a really good level. We know he's going to be on knight pike. We saw the signs early. Yes, he wasted his first few spears, but we know he wants to be on knight pike. It's like the perfect comp for Franks against Saracens. So what you should have done earlier is instead of all-inning with knights, the inferior unit, which obviously led to nothing good. Now you can see it led to nothing good. If you had added economy earlier, you'd be at the same position right now, where you could defend with camels and monks. You can't do anything against that. And then you're 20 vills up. So now, when the knights and pikes comes across the map, we're at 70 vills, and all of a sudden we can have a defensive castle, we can make defensive scorpions, or we can make a switch to crossbow. On this amount of economy, now when the knight pike comes forward, we're not going to be able to have the resources to make a switch. So now we're going to be in a lot of trouble. That's why adding the economy earlier would have been much better. Now we're adding the economy, but we're basically 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes late on that. Maybe even more, actually. We hit castle nice and early this game. So now look, the knights and pikes are coming, and now, honestly, if you give this game to me, we have no counter. Like, if you give this game to me, I'd run all the way back and just defend with monks near my TC. You cannot take a fight. Absolutely not. Yeah, you have no chance to take a fight, and you're gonna try it. You can't take bad fights, J-Tan. It's obviously a bad fight. I know you know it's a bad fight, because you've been playing well all game. I know you know it's a bad fight, but I think you just don't know what to do. Even if you're panicking, don't take fights you know are bad. Go back and look for something better. Chances are your opponent will make mistakes later. If you had just not taken that fight, you just go back and heal near your town center, your opponent might just make a mistake. Now your opponent's, you know, gathering res to go up to him. Even he's not playing too well. Like, he's on 1 TC, like, floating a lot of res. I would also be kind of roasting him a little bit because of that. But the problem is, you guys are both making mistakes, but it just so happens that his army now is easier to play than yours. Because you're on the defensive. But had you added the economy earlier, you would be hard stomping this game. Like, hard stomping. Think of it. You'd be up 30 vills at this point. You're on 3 TC now. You'd be up 30 vills. And then you can easily play camel into crossbow, up to imp, arbalest, camel. That's a perfect comp, right? You're getting into what Saracens want to go for. We can't just all-in knights, 1 TC knights versus Franks with Saracens. It's just not a thing. You can only do that if you have a really good explanation. But in this case, you saw 7 spears. You saw your opponent having a lot of, you know, walls. It's not a valid, you know, time for an all-in with a weird unit. And so now you're developing your economy. Take a look at this. You're developing your economy. You're not going to start pulling ahead. But now it's a bit too late because now the forward castle is coming. And yeah, like, remember when I said earlier, up 30 villas, you have a defensive castle. If he does this, he's all in. He's going to be fast imp. You'd have your own castle. You'd be up to imp same time, but you'd be up 40 villas. So you'd win the Treb War. You win the game. Very easy. Now, what's going to happen is that he's going to have the faster imp. You're going to have more economy. But because you're going to be so slow to imp, you're going to suffer a lot in that 2-3 minute window where he gets up to imp faster. Okay, now we're rushing imp. And at this point, how's your vision? Yeah, we know what's happening at this point. We understand our opponent's up to imp. We're just chilling. Inscription is coming in. Chemistry. Again, like your opponent, again, I really don't like this. He's on 1 TC imp. Like, this is not... I don't want to like make fun of him or anything like that. That's not the point. But like, if this was my student, I would 100% be telling him similar stuff. Like, forget about the fast imp. Add 2 more town centers. Spend your resources. We can go all in castle. 30 knights, 30 pikes. Run in and wipe everything. Even from your opponent's perspective, I don't think he's making the right calls, which I really want to highlight because at 1400 elo, it's really good early game, really solid. But then the decision making is questionable. So at this elo, what I want to teach is making the right choices and playing to something that makes sense. And now the game is still winnable, by the way. We're up 30 vills. You're going to see how strong that's going to be. But this is what I'm talking about. In these 2 minutes, we're going to suffer a little bit. First Treb is already down. And now, as far as army comp, it's a bit awkward. Because now we're going to be facing Halberdier and potentially some Cavalier later. I'm thinking we want probably Hand Cannoneer. I would get Chemistry right away. Nice. Good. Hand Cannoneer Camel is like solid. It gets the job done. Ideally, Arbalest would be slightly better, maybe, than Hand Cannoneer at killing Halbs, but Arbalest takes too long to get into, so Hand Cannoneer. In this case, when we're on a timer, is much better. Yeah, this is fine. You're actually doing the right things now, which is just buying time for chemistry. Yeah, you can expand to the back, and no problem here. This is completely fine. We have a lot of those. My opponent's taking forever to push as well, so we're kind of like chilling. The game is stalling out a lot. But yeah, chemistry's finished. Like, what are we doing with chemistry? We're trying to go Mamelukes. Okay, we've got to pause here. Knights counterattack with the Knights, by the way. That's a really good decision. That's a really good choice. I'm going to give you big props for that. Because the Knights are useless to defend, so sending them as a counterattack is perfect. That's exactly what you should do. Very nice, very nice. The problem is on defense. This is where your issue is right now. The problem is on defense. You're not preparing like a counter unit. You don't have like Hand Cannoneer. You have so many resources. Like, you're literally Saracen market. Sell like half your food, buy like 600 wood, make 4 or 5 ranges at the back, and just go Hand Cannoneer. You literally win this game. Your Knight Raid is doing work on your opponent's base. Your opponent is pretty much only on Halberdier at this point. Cannon is a good choice. Like, Bomber Cannon is a good choice. We have so many resources. And like, the reason why Mamluk is absolutely not a good idea now is that, like, number 1, it's not that good versus Halbs. And number 2, you have only 1 castle. So like, going Mamluks right now is like straining your 1 castle too much. You want to make Trebs, you want to make Mamluk. You have to try to keep it up. And now you're forced to take the fight because now you have to defend the castle. If you had Hand Cannoneer, number 1, you would destroy the fight. And number 2, you wouldn't need to take the fight because if the castle dies, you're still fine. A good micro on the Bomber Cannon though. I'll give you some props for that. Nice. Good work, good work. Keeping the castle up. Night Raid, doing okay. Halberdiers are getting out of control. We're going ranges now. Treadmill Crane! What? For what reason? The panic is real. J10. The panic is real. Don't tell me you're not panicking right now. Ain't nobody getting Treadmill Crane like that. And this deck is like... this deck is like luxury tech. You know what I mean? Like, right now you can't feed your family and you're buying a yacht in Dubai right now. That's what Treadmill Crane, that's what it is right now. Like, your family is literally starving. You can't even protect them from the invaders, and you're going on vacation. It doesn't make sense. This is a luxury tech in late game. You don't want to pick it up right now. But I think you're panicking, to be honest. I think you're panicking. What you should do, yeah, there's a lot of panic. What you should do is realize that Hand Cannoneer solves all of your problems right now. Oh, and you're going to go CA. What's wrong with Hand Cannoneer, though? Hand Cannoneer is perfect. You have chemistry. Yeah, so it's just decision making. It's just decision making. Hand Cannoneer, Bomber Cannon is a great composition. It would be perfect versus Halbs. Perfect versus Halb Monk. I think until you find that composition, you're going to have trouble. Going Cav Archers, it's not bad, but I think it's like really expensive and it's going to take too long to get into. Notice you need like Bodkin, Bracer, that kind of stuff. Hand Cannoneer is instant. You need no upgrades for them. They already do all the damage. Yeah, now we're gonna continue getting trapped. We still don't have a solution to Halbs. We've been dealing with Halbs for 10 minutes, and you still don't have a solution. Like, even the CA, like 3-4 CA, you have 6 CA. Even that's not that good versus Halbs and Monks. Like, he's just gonna dive you anyway. But at least you're doing something. I like that. At least you're getting some unit. It's better than the Mamluks, so I'll give you something for that. Again, your early game was really good, and even now you're still defending nicely. But you can see how I think you win this game, by the way. I'm not sure, but I think you're gonna win. Fast forward a little bit, because not much is happening at this point. It's a lot of stalling. You can see how slow the pushes are. People give you a lot of time to react. That's why if you just make the right reaction, you'll win every time. Because people give you so much time at this level, so much time. Okay, so yeah, amassing. This is really good. Now you have a lot of wood like this. You want to try to like make farms whenever you can, because like wood is not that useful in late game, but food is. Food can make a Hussar transition. Food can get upgrades. Wood kind of just floats a lot, and it's not really that good. Like here, I would just run these villas, maybe take gold or something. Continue expanding. It's usually pretty difficult. It's like we're taking damage, but we're not like we're still up 30 vills, so we're not actually losing here. Just remember to continue expanding. Whenever you're on defense, don't just stay stuck in your base. So here, what you should do, this is hard, I will admit. Like, you have a lot of vills. You should like lumber camp here, start expanding farms here. Look how I do it when I'm under pressure. I always expand to the sides. This is great, for example. This is really good. And the cavalries are now very massed. Like, you're actually winning right now, to be honest. You should get Parthian tactics, by the way. For those who don't know, Parthian tactic is like an attack upgrade versus Halbs. It gives you more damage. So you should prioritize that when playing CA versus Halb. Also, thumbing is really useful. So now, your opponent's going to go Cavalier. This is expected. Remember, the composition for Franks is Halb, Paladin, ideally. So that's why I like Hand Cannoneer. It lets you transition to Camels. They cost the same. Your economy is like a lot on food. But in this case, CA, you can then, if you go Paladin, you can go Camel, maybe. That's not bad. Or a few Mamelukes mixed in can be okay as well. We're wasting some cannons here, but I don't mind. That's like micro mistakes. I don't care about those. I know you know that the mistakes. I'm not going to like point it out. Yeah, now we're stuck on gold. And no gold anymore. Could take gold here. Damn, the attention is... Yeah, the attention has been hard. It's been a hard game. Castle here, so we're pushing back. Yeah. At this point, again, we can fast forward because it's... I mean, what you should do is push really fast because now the paladin numbers are really picking up for him. And I'm worried about that. I'm really worried about that, actually. He still has no armor, though. You can fight this guy so easily. There's no armor. Yeah, he's missing +2 armor. It's ridiculous. Oof, getting raided on our gold. That's terrible. Yeah, this area, that's a bit unlucky. Like, you have to pay attention, I guess. Only thing we can say. Heavy CA coming in. So the problem I have with this is that you're going to be on heavy CA, which is not a bad unit, but you ideally want to be on Camel versus Cavalier. Like, that's the whole idea of Saracens, to be on Camel, right? So, like, him going Halb made us go for, like, an inferior unit, you know? You're still playing pretty well with the CA. Fight more, though. Fight more. He has no armor. And we have heavy CA now. You should just fight constantly. You would have actually won that fight very easily. Even this fight's not bad. Hey, just fights. Yeah, we are on an inferior unit because he went Halbs. Oh, we're losing so much here as well. At this point, it's hard to... Okay. I know I didn't see coinage just then. Come on. Terminal Crane, you had me at that, but not coinage. Yeah, this is messy. At this point, it's hard to coach because like at this point, you just have to like try your best. It's late game. You know, the choices we could have made up to this point could have been better, but thumbing is good. At this point, what we want to try to do in late game is get to 200 pop with a perfect composition. Composition is 1 gold unit, 1 trash unit, 1 siege unit. So in this case, we have heavy CA. Our trash unit, notice we're out of gold. So like now we need a trash unit. This army should never die in theory. We just keep it at the back, keep it near a castle. It shouldn't die. What you want to do is make a trash unit. So in this case, either pikeman versus the cav. You don't have how, but pikeman's okay. Or you can go for a light cav to raid. Both choices are good. I recommend light cav because you have Hisar. So you can just defend with the CA and then start raiding with Hisar. And to do that, you need more farms, which you're trying to do, which is good. And our opponent is attacking us here. At this point, the castle here would have been really good, by the way. But you just completely didn't look here, pretty much at all. So it's hard to say what you could have done differently, but like just the castle here would have stopped all the shenanigans. Fast forward a lot. Pushing that away. We're going to get the castle. It's going to go up. It's very messy, but we can try to get the treb there. I slow it down a little bit. Okay, 159 pop. You've consistently kept a higher pop than your opponent, though, which is really good. So again, now, turbo the farms. Right now. Like, okay, now nothing is happening. Nothing's happening. Okay? I mean, I guess you're fighting here a little bit, but even this, it's not that the most intense thing ever, right? Instead of looping around with your CA and trying to micro these guys, I think the CA should stay near the front, and your attention should be on, nice, the tech switch. But you don't just get the upgrades, you have to spam the farms. So right now, you have 2,500 wood. Take 10 vills. Mill, farm. Take another 10 vill. Mill, farm. Take another 10 vill. Mill, farm. You have 30 farms. You go to 17 on wood, 51 on food. That is how you make a transition. These raids are good, by the way. The reason I say don't go for them is just to give you more time to do what's more important, which is getting the light cav set up. Because now if you dive in deep with these guys and you lose them, you're actually dead. You can't remake these guys. So going in here, I would classify a huge risk. Not a mistake, it's just a risk. I wouldn't like doing it. This army I don't want to lose ever, so I would keep them safe at home. Oof. No, don't tell me we lose them. No, that's what I'm talking about, bro. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, no, that's a disaster. That's an absolute disaster. Those guys should have stayed at home, defended your gold. You switch to light cav, the light cav does the raiding. That's a huge disaster. That's a game-losing play, actually. Yeah, that's a huge disaster. We actually lost the stat as well. I mean, it's just that you're prioritizing the wrong things. Now you went for the farms. Again, 5 minutes late, maybe even like 10 minutes late. But yeah, just keep the CA at the front and make the tech switch. You guys never hit 200 pop, by the way. No 1400 I've ever seen hit 200 pop like right away. You guys always stay 140, 150. Like, no one has hit 200 pop now. It's an hour into the game. Nobody has hit 200 pop. That is such a mistake. Watch pro games. We're hitting 200 pop like 35. Minute 35, we're at 200 pop. Minute 40, minute 45. It would have to be an extremely messy game for us to be not 200 pop at 1 hour. Like, it has to be a really messy game, and this one just wasn't it. Had your CA been on the front, you would easily defend this, no problem. You switch to light cav, and the light cav would do the raiding. And that would be much better for you, to be honest. Now you lost half your CA numbers, and I think you're still actually in a good position. Like, your opponent never got paladins. You're still in a good position, but it's just... Now you're doing my idea, but you're 10 minutes late, and you lost half your CA. So now you're on my idea, which is to go light cav and use them to raid. But now your opponent has a lot more cav. And let's face it, your opponent has now more population. Your opponent also won this right side. He's going to get more gold and more stone. So you went for the right thing, but you went for it a little bit too late. Okay, now we can fast forward a bit more. I don't want the video to be too long here as well, because at this point, like, the late game is really hard to coach. I insist. Like, I really want to focus more on the early game stuff. I don't want that to be forgotten just because we did a long game. But it's good. We're getting to like 80 farms now. If this was earlier, now send the light cav to raid. Exactly. Send them in. You don't care about light cav. Send them in, kill vills, and then distract your opponent, and then just keep your gold army at home to control the game. If this army stays near the castle, you'll never lose it. You just have to stay near the castle, jump in the castle, get this army as well. There we go. You won't lose it, and your opponent will just lose Cavalier. And meanwhile, the light cav can raid. I hope you win this game doing this now. If you did this 10 minutes ago with the 40 CA, you would win it 100%. Now it's like, it's 50-50 to be honest, if you win or not. Like, your opponent is now wasting a lot of gold units. He's trying to go for like the all-in play. I think this might work actually. Your raids are doing work though. Killed a bunch of vills. But now we dropped a lot of population as well ourselves. I'm not sure if we can recover from this. Our opponent is now out of gold. He's also going light cav. Remember, our light cav are actually better than Frank's. Extra HP. Even now, we should be still fine. But our population is low. Now it's a hard game. Alright. And can we snipe it? Not quite. I think he can go for it. I think he can go for it. Nice, that's good. I can just go back with the CA. Okay, I mean now it's just difficult because we lost the castle. We're like, our economy is really messy, and now we don't have that ball of CA. We have now, yeah, we have now 16 CA, and you just had to call the GG. Yeah, I think it's not 100% over, but yeah, it's kind of over now because like we're running out of resources. We barely have any wood, and we don't have that ball of CA. So unfortunately, we never hit 200 pop, which I'm really upset about, to be honest. And I mean, take a look at the map. Like half the map is just not even used. Like we have so much potential to expand. If you had expanded here, cast on the hill, continue to take the wood, expand, get to 200 pop, spam Hussar, send the Hussar to raid. It's just a much better late game. You're trying to run in with 40 CA and 50 CA and trying to micro your way out, trying to take good trades. That's nonsense. The CA control position. They can run in and out, sure, but you don't want to go too deep in. Let them control the gold in the front. The Hussar can run in, they can die, who cares? We should get all the upgrades. You're still missing so many upgrades on both of your units, by the way. You're missing armor on the cab archers, you're missing parts and tactics, and you're missing attack on the light cab. So you're missing a lot of upgrades. Focus on that. Focus on getting 200 pop. It's much better for you in the late game. But yeah, we had a late game review. I don't like when they go too late because, again, remember at the start of the game, first 20 minutes in castle, for example, the strategy aspect, that's what you should focus on. That's what you should take away. Your late game does need some work. Focus on the principles, gold units, trash units, siege units, all upgrades, 200 pop. That's your 3 steps. And then step number 4 is control the map. Step number 5 is like gold control, relic control, or wood control. Okay? Those are the 5 steps in late game. But I don't like to teach late game too much because, again, like all you had to do at this point is look. You had to look over, make a castle. You didn't. I mean, how can I teach you to look? It's really difficult. You know what I mean? But the game is hard because the game is like you were looking somewhere else, and it's completely natural. Like the game is super messy, so sometimes you just don't look at the right areas. You just don't see what's happening. That's how late game is messy. So I recommend we focus a bit more on the early game. But those are the 5 steps in late game that could help you guys out. I'll show the stats really quick. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube. If you want to be part of these rec reviews or get any benefits that I have on my Patreon, look at the rest collected is so even. Do check out my Patreon, link in the description below. I have tons of things. I have a secret Discord. I have my build loaders there. I have some special Patreon exclusive videos, like especially guides that are really good. And I also have a rec review every month. There's different tiers you guys can pick from. I put a lot of effort into Patreon, so if you guys want to get better, definitely check that out. And if you can't afford Patreon, it's completely fine. Come check me out on the Twitch live stream. I also help people out there on a daily basis. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Like the video, check out Patreon, check out Twitch, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.